Hello everyone, we are Parasha Vayeshev, a very powerful Parasha where I want to share some concepts that really gives us so much understanding about the state of the Jewish people today. It is also going to make us understand a little bit Chanukah and really we're going to see that from one little parsha from the Torah, you get not just some basic knowledge about life, but really about the entire world and the way civilization have developed and everything. So it's fascinating. So where to start? I have a little chart here, basically that's gonna help us understand. I guess I'll show you after. So that you have a picture, you can pause it, I guess, on the video if you want to, meditate on it. But the idea is like that. We are that famous story with the fights between the brothers, and we have two brothers, Yosef and Yehuda, or Yosef and the brothers. We have two teams who are under Yaakov, and those two teams, even though they were one at the beginning, kind of started splitting up. This is not incidental. The first two brothers, Cain and Hevel, were trying to kill each other. And then you had the struggle between Ishmael and Yitzchak. And then now we have the struggle then Yaakov and Esav, and then now we have the struggle between Yosef and the brothers, and they're all kind of tikkunim, fixing the root of the problem. What was Cain and Hevel's fight problem, and how Yosef and Yehuda enter into the same. And I'm not gonna develop. I'm gonna go straight into the meat, so to speak. And the idea is that these three parts, and that has to do with spirituality, Kabbalah. There's the middle, there's the right, and there's the left. And what we want, the way of the Jewish people, the way that the Jewish people brought to the world, is the middle way. Is it not by coincidence that Israel is, so to speak, in the Middle East, but it's really in the middle of the world. You have Israel, and then from Israel you have the Eastern world and the Western world. Yaakov, who was the perfect middleman, who was the balanced one. Avraham was chesed, he was the right, he was the love, was very, very, very spiritual out there. And then you have Yitzchak, who was the left, the gvura, very, we'll say, practical, we'll say down to earth, if we can say so. And then Yaakov was the real middle. One of the reasons we had Ishmael is because Avram was too much on the right, and then you had Ishmael who counterbalance that extreme right, and then from Yitzchak being on the left, you came out Esav, who was the counterbalance to the extreme left. But Yaakov was the middle, was able to be the balance between his grandfather and his father, between chesed and gvura, love and limitations and directions. And Yaakov, therefore, saw that he needed to take those two roles, the role of the spiritual and the role of the physical, the role of connecting to God and the role of connecting to earth, to man. And that's what was in last week's Parsha, where Yaakov took, that Yaakov was the voice of Esav, and the voice of Yaakov, and his hand were the hand of Esav. He took those two dimensions. We had the class before that you should listen to, on Yaakov being bipolar, so to speak, personalities, taking those two roles, those two missions. And here we'll continue a little bit, and we see that from Yaakov, we have those two dimensions. Unfortunately, within the brothers, even though they were kind of united and he was the middleman, they separated. Again, so to speak. Whatever Yaakov had taken upon himself, that those two missions ripped again from the inside, and we're fighting with each other. So what do we have? We have Yosef. Yaakov loved Yosef because Yaakov's essence was to learn. Ohalim, he was Ishmael Ohalim. He loves to learn, and he saw in Yosef, Yosef is going to learn, and he's going to follow my path. So he had, I think it's normal to say, that's always what I wanted to do. Like any parents, I love violin. This son is taking violin. This was my dream. I feel more connected to. So Yaakov felt connected very especially with Yosef. But he knew, obviously, that there's another reason that he loved Yosef, is because Yosef was the first stage to Geula, the first stage to redemption. Or, if we can say, the foundation. And we know Yosef was foundation. He was the foundation on how to build the future of the world. Yehuda and the brothers were more the down-to-earth guys. They were working in the field, they were farmers, and they had to deal with the physical and the material life. And if we can say so today, this is how the world split. The Eastern world, again, which represents Yosef on the right, is the world of spirituality. India, Asia, all the spirituality from the East is come from that root. The people who are more the people of the soul, who wants to connect to God, disconnect from physicality. And then you have the West, the Western world, which is Yehuda and the brothers, the people who are more down to earth, more connect to man itself, who let's connect to the ground and to physicality, and making this their priority. And what happened is that they're both right. They're both right. We need spirituality and we need physicality. The problem is that you need the other. And if you abandon the other side, you're not going to survive. It's not going to work. If you want to survive this world, you need those two. If you want to be balanced in this world, you need to be in the middle. You need to be Israel. Israel is the middle of the two civilizations, Eastern and Western. Israel is Tiferes, which corresponds to Torah, which is harmony, balance. The whole challenge today is to be balanced, balanced emotions, balanced spirituality, balanced physicality, balanced diet, balanced everything. And if we are in balance, then we have a chance to become tremendous, elevate the materiality with the spirituality, which is what Shabbos is, really. Shabbos is a celebration of the balance between physical and spiritual. Or if we could say, Shabbos represents really Yosef, which is the foundation of spirituality, which is going to give the energy to the weak, which is Yehuda and the brothers. Yosef is Shabbos, is the spiritual leader, and Yehuda is the physical leader, is the 6 other days of the week. And there are 6 days, and Yehuda and the brothers were many more. And Yosef is one, like Shabbos is one day. So now we understand a little bit better what's happening. So what was the mistake? What was the mistake? Where it happened? We could say maybe that Yaakov's mistake was to show too much attention to Yosef, or maybe that he didn't communicate the right way to the other brothers. Obviously, it's hard to say that. I don't know if I can say that, but we're trying to be down to earth to understand really the situation. But what is clear is from the words of the Torah that Yosef was privileged and focused on, and as we said before, is because the only way to have a home is to have a foundation. The foundation in a Jew is the spirituality. He needs to pray. He needs to learn Torah. He needs to realize what the source is God. And then on top of that, you can build a house. You can, if if the house doesn't recognize the foundation, or the foundation doesn't recognize the house, there's nothing. So what's happening is that Yosef was a dreamer. He was that spiritual fanatic, if we want to say. Yes, we're going to be open yeshivas and we're going to be spiritual and this is what God wants and we come close to God. It's all about spirituality. And Yosef was looking down. If you look in the Midrash, he was accusing his brothers of talking and laughing to women. What are you doing? Perversion. You're below yourself. You're involved with the physical. They were farmers, traders. They had to do business. It's like today, a rabbi or a yeshiva person or whatever, ultra-Orthodox, who say, oh, how can you get involved with business? There are women there and there's money and you make yourself involved with the physical and just disconnect from it, just learn all day. That's what Yosef was telling their brothers, and the brothers hated it. Of course they hated it, that was not their mission. Each one had to learn to stay at their space, at their place, and love their place, but not put down the other for that. And Yaakov the brother says, you're crazy. You think that just with the yeshiva, and just with spirituality, and just with learning Torah, you think you're going to succeed? Let's see how much money you're going to make. Who is going to support you? You go to ask for tzedakah? Oh, and I'm working for you. Let's see if you do, if I don't support you, if we don't give you any physical support. Let's take the example of the very powerful fight that we have now in Israel with the Chilonim and the Haredim, with the Orthodox and the secular, the religious and the secular. You have the spiritual, the yeshivas, and they say there should not be any army, and the government to support completely the yeshiva system and the spirituality, and then you have the Chilonim and the secular and the army saying what we everybody should be involved in the physical, everybody should join the army, the country only going to be developed through the people who do something, not just pray and learn. And really that's the fight of Yehuda and the brothers. What they have to understand is that they have to respect each other. The army needs the yeshiva, and the yeshiva needs the army. And each individual Jew has to find who he is. Are you a Yosef or are you a Yehuda? And there's no greater. The chief of the army, the captain of the army, the surgeon of the army of the IDF is as holy as a Rosh Yeshiva. They're both exactly where they're supposed to be. This is a Ramchal says Misas Yesharim. It doesn't matter if you do business, it doesn't matter if you learn all day. You're both as important to God and as love to God, and you both have to do your mission. However, if you start realizing that, oh, I don't need the other, my way is the way, and my way is the only way, then you're destroying the Jewish people. You're breaking apart that brotherhood. Sinat Chinam, the destruction of the temple. This is a 5,000-year-old fight. Even more, since Cain and Abel. Since the beginning, we have that fight. What's the fight? The fight is between the spiritual and the physical. Are we supposed to be very spiritual or supposed to be very physical? No, we're supposed to be right in the middle. Yes, it's hard. It's the hardest. That's the balance. We all struggle with the balance. This is a struggle with the Eastern world and the Western world. Eastern civilization, Western civilization. Should I be a Buddhist monk, not connect to any pleasure at all? Or should be in America, involved with all the pleasure and the physical of this world, and just enjoy everything that I can enjoy until I die? Neither, and both. It has to be right in the middle. So, and I want to add 2-3 things. One thing, I would say that Yosef and the spiritual leaders are correspond to the more Ashkenazim, the ones who are they are the ones who opened the yeshivas and who are the mostly involved into the spreading of the yeshiva system, the spiritual system that they have now, and most of Sfardim go in Ashkenaz yeshivot nowadays. And you have the Sfardim who have been, going without the kippah, working, but really very faithful to God, but always working and involved in the physical. Again, speak at the majority. There's always exceptions. And really, we have that fight between the Ashkenaz and the Sephardi in Israel. The Ashkenaz don't want to wear the Sephardi in their yeshivot because it's gonna affect their spiritual self image. The Sephardim are too physical, they're too low level, and again the same clash. So we have that, and this reflects also in terms of religion. You have Judaism at the middle, and from the right came out the Muslim. The Muslim came out because which is Ishmael. Ishmael was fighting, really was on the extreme left with Yitzhak. He went the other side, and he joined the Yosef approach, which is all about God. We blow ourselves up. It doesn't matter what we do to women, to kids. It's all for God, Allah, and that's doesn't matter what we do to men. Man doesn't count as long as Allah is everywhere and Islam spread everywhere. This is the only thing that counts. Human sensitivity and gentleness and love and thing, it doesn't matter. Again, I'm speaking about the extreme especially, but Muslim in general took that completely spiritual approach. No alcohol, no, and a lot of things that they do. Ramadan 40 days, completely disconnected. Then the other side, the left, which is Yehuda and Brothers approach, which is physical, which is more Christianity. Christianity is more, let's focus on man. On man, whatever you do, don't worry. Jesus, who came as a man, right? God putting God into a man. It's a physical approach where whatever you do, don't worry. Yoshka is gonna save you. And we see that the Western culture with Christianity has been involved in so many. I'm speaking about the extremists, obviously. No generalization, but the negative part, which was really focused on the physical and did a lot of cardinal sins. With physicality, I'm losing my words, but basically we have that balance. You have Israel, Jewish people in the middle. Came two branches. One was Islam, the other one was Christianity. It corresponds to two approaches, and I want to say it's actually funny. You have the Shabbos in the middle, right? Shabbos, let's say, according to one way to look at it, Shabbos is the middle of the week. And what do you have? On the right of Shabbos, you have, well, it depends how you put it, really. But you have, on one side, you have the Muslim, who took Friday as the day. On the other side, you have Sunday, which is Christianity. So, that split was done between the right and the left and the middle. So, I'll just show you that chart. So that you get a little bit of an idea of what I'm saying. If you want, you can pause it. But the idea is that you have those three parts. So what needs to be done? It needs to be done that how did it start? Yosef started criticizing his brothers. Yosef was saying, he was speaking without sensitivity with his dream, saying, I'm the pillar, I'm the foundation, and it's not going to work without me. And they say, this is how you're going to bring Moshiach. It's not going to work. You need to build the land of Israel. You need to create a city and Jerusalem and build the temple and get involved in business and expand. And therefore Yosef say, no, you're wrong. And the brother say, well, you think you're gonna build everything with spirituality? It's not gonna work. You're gonna destroy the Jewish people. We're gonna die. So therefore they want to get rid of the Yosef approach. And that's why we have those two steps, Moshiach ben Yosef, Moshiach ben David, which comes from Yehuda. Interestingly, when they sold Yosef, Yehuda kind of went down from his brother. So Yored, he went down, and it's like he realized the mistake, the problem within inside. And from there, when he went out, he went with Tamar. It's like we, the ones who are the leaders, who teach, who are involved in Torah, got lost and got involved in terms of a sin that doesn't look like a sin. With Tamar, it's not a sin. We're involved into like a spiritual sexuality that is unhealthy. I don't know how to explain it exactly. We got involved into our own marriage with ourselves without and abandoning our brothers, so to speak, and not looking at the brothers. And from within there, he realized his sin after when Tamar came to him and said, "I'm responsible. I did a mistake." And to sell yourself and to be with Tamar, really, I think it's hidden within that. And from there, at that moment when he said, "I'm responsible," the seed of Moshiach came, because really, how to bring Moshiach is by realizing that I'm responsible for my position and for my mistake. And Yosef also had to suffer a lot. He went into prison. He was, tempted by so many temptations, and he was afflicted for many, many years, until all of a sudden there was a shift when Yosef realized it's all in Hashem's hands. Hashem is directing the world. Me living like crap, spiritual but crap, in the sense that very poor and very unconnected, very unsuccessful on many levels. We see the assimilation and all that. What has happened is that eventually, when he realized that's all by Hashem, in prison, after speaking that please mention me to Pharaoh, and that he got an extra 2 years in prison, what happened is there was a flip. After that, he realized it's all from Hashem, which means that the spiritual leaders have to realize that the reason why, for example, the secular Jews are the ones, quote unquote, who are selling the land, because there were spiritual Jews there already before. Secular Jews, now the secular Jews have settled the land, is really a preparation. It's all from Hashem, and basically, even with the Knesset and everything that's happening in Israel, everything is undercover. Everything is balling and getting ready. But to conclude, we have to say what's happening is that the yeshiva has to recognize the IDF, and the IDF has to recognize the yeshiva. If the spiritual leaders will look up, or at least equally, to the non-religious and to the more or less spiritual people, they would understand that the other ones will want to work together. We're supposed to work together. One has to respect the other. But I believe it comes from the spiritual side. And that's why it happened with Yosef. He put them down, so to speak. You're going to bow to me. What do you mean you're going to bow to you? You're going to bow to spirituality? No, we're as important. And they were white. Physicality is as important as spirituality. Bowing meant guiding. It's not that the chief of the IDF has to bow down into the Rosh Yeshiva to know what to do. He has to get his advice, which comes from the Torah. Yosef is transparent. He has to be a conduit. The moment there's that's maybe what happened with Yosef, there's some self-knowledge, some ego about himself, his role, he's destroying the whole Jewish people. He needs to understand he's just a conduit. Yosef is the perfect foundation conduit, straight from above the middle line into Malchus, which is Yehuda. It takes all the powers, spirituality, and put it into Yehuda. So Yosef has to be very humble. He has to realize it's all from Hashem, and he has to see that everything, all the physical that's happening, and all the what's happening in Israel, it's all a preparation. We don't have a Jewish spiritual government yet, but that's also part of the system. And Yehuda and the brothers have to realize that they need the Torah, they need the spirituality, they need the Rosh Yeshiva, the Poskim, the spirituality to be able to grow and do the right thing. And Bezat Hashem, with love, we can heal everything. And Chanukah really is connected a little bit to Yosef. The ability for Yosef to be able to come all the way down to the physical, and in a way to meet Yehuda, right? But to meet Yehuda in the middle. But here we're talking about spirituality going down into the physical and surviving the physical. Yosef has survived thanks to the purity of the Torah, thanks to the purity of the of prayer and the body, constrictment, like imitation, the character traits. By working on oneself, we are able to go into the very physical, into the very dark winter, into a place where we are able to survive and bring light. And that's Yehuda. When we're able to do that, the power of the physical, a few people, a little bit of oil, is able to blow up an entire army. But we have to understand that Yehuda is just the cup, so to speak. Yehuda brought just the cup, but the oil is Yosef, and if we put light, then together they can last for 8 days. If we have the 6, which is Yehuda brothers, and we have 7, which is Yosef, then we can have 8, the next level, which is Olam Haba. This is the miracle of Chanukah. Is that recognition of the tremendous power of the spirituality within the physical. Is the celebration, it's the last holidays, understand? That's what we defeated the Greek. If we want to survive the exile, if we want to survive the physicality, the Western world, then we need to have a balanced self, a balanced Judaism. Find your place, be humble, recognize the extreme opposite is that it's his place and you need him from both sides. If we do that, then we have hope that we will be united again, have a united Israel, having the secular love, the religious love, the secular, but it has to come first from the religious to show love and respect to the secular, in my humble opinion. And Bezat Hashem will be all united again, celebrating Chanukah every day of the year. Thanksgiving, the Jewish Thanksgiving, about being able to be spiritual in the physical world. There's nothing more beautiful. The light, the fire in the darkness, the light in the middle of the darkest night of the year. There's nothing more beautiful than two opposites becoming one. So may we all able to achieve balance within ourselves, within our community, within our family, our friends, and within the world. I realize more and more in terms of healing and the sickness that exists in the world, it's all about balance. If you're balanced, you cannot get sick. Obviously there's exceptions, but overall, if you learn to be a balanced human being, you will not get sick. Not get sick physically, not get sick emotionally, not get sick intellectually. So may we all be healthy and bring balance within ourselves and within the world. Happy Chanukah and good Shabbos.